Hey friends, it's great to have you with us. I'm Hansie Low from Cape Town in South Africa. It is our fifth meeting in this 5-day series where we talk about the 5 secrets for you to lose 5% of your other weight, body fat in a 5-day period. And sometimes people will think it is not possible. But yes, it is possible. To just kick off tonight, I was fortunate enough. I was fortunate enough to have a meeting with a good friend of mine a little while ago. We were busy running in the park, and I spoke to him briefly this afternoon. He met with me about 2 months ago, slightly more than 2 months ago. He's a long distance runner, so I'm talking really about long distance runs. He would do 100, 160 kilometer runs, or stage runs where you would run massive distances over 3, 4, or 5 days. And he was invited as an athlete to take part in a 5-day running event, or running or walking event. And he was used to, in terms of his running, he told me today, after 20 kilometers or so, he would eat something on the run. But this was a run with a difference. And the difference is no food, absolutely zero food for 5 days. And you run horrific distances during that time. I think the first day they did 30 something, I think 35 kilometers. And he said to me that at kilometer 20, which was his usual time where he would eat, there was just nothing to eat. And he almost felt that he's going into almost a period of nothingness. Because we know that the body, during the first 2 hours or so, it would take carbohydrates for energy, use carbohydrates for energy, and after about 2 hours, that's depleted out of the body. So that's what he experienced. And he's not a fat-adapted runner. The fat-adapted guys can take energy and does take energy from fat and from ketones. And he wasn't ready for that. He heard about this whole experiment a very short time before it happened. Some of the friends that he got to know during these 5 days, they've been preparing for this for about 4 or 5 months or more to just get fat adapted. He said to me he normally weighs about 87 kilometers, quite a tall chap, 87 kilograms. He's quite a tall chap. And during these 5 days, he lost 6 kilograms. So 6 kilograms out of 87, let me just use my calculator. 6 kilograms divided by 87. That is almost 7% of his body weight he lost. I said to him, you probably pick it up quite quickly. He said, yes, pick it up quite quickly again. Because some of that, of course, is water loss. And then a portion as well is fat loss. Because the body takes it, after a day or so, it takes from the fat to give energy. And he said to me that his 3rd day was his best day. So the body was getting ready to actually extract energy from fat and was getting into the right mode, so to speak. There are doctors and so forth on board, and other scientists to just check, sports scientists to check what's happening. So they drew blood quite frequently. So he lost more than 5% in 5 days with running and no eating. Now, he lost almost 7%. But it's possible if you do this correctly and under the correct guidance that you can lose 5% or you can lose 5 kilograms, especially if you're over 100 kilos of weight, then it's probably easy to drop the 5 kilograms. But you need to know what you're doing, and you need to know who to speak to give you guidance on what's happening to you over this period. So that is a bit of an intro just to say to you, listen, it's possible to lose 5 kgs in 5 days. Normally we would say, take a month to lose 4 or 5 kgs, like a kilo a week. But I always say if you can get a quick result in 5 to 10 days, then it's so much of a boost, a morale booster to you to be able to know that you can do that and that the body will listen to you. Now tonight, we are talking about formulas and we're talking about flow. And I'll come back to formulas and flow in a minute. I just want to summarize quickly what we've gone through the past 4 days. The first day we talked about fasting, and my running friend, he experienced fasting. He was just thrown into the fasting arena because of this experiment that he was in. So fasting, we talked about that. We talked about 18-hour fast, 16 to 18-hour fast on an intermittent basis, which means you do it every day. Or then a 72-hour fast, or in this case of this friend of mine, they didn't do 72 hours, they added another 48 hours to that. So what is that? 72 and 48, that's 5 days of fasting, and that's 120 hours that they completed fasting. Not quite 120, almost 120. They on the 5th day they stopped a bit earlier, not the full day. But so let's call it 110, 112 hours fasting, and not only fasting but exercising with that as well. And I told him today that normally when I fast and I run, I can go to 16, 18 kilometers, and then by 20 kilometers my energy is totally gone. I haven't pushed it beyond that, so it'll be interesting because that's what he did. He pushed it beyond that 20 kilometer mark. So the first day we talked about fasting. The second day we talked about feasting, or then cheating. There must be a day where you cheat and where you feast. And it's both psychologically and then the way the body is made up physiologically, you want to cheat. And you want to say, on that day, I'm going to cheat, and maybe Saturdays is a good day to do that. Then we talked about fat. Now, my running friend, he was talking about ketones, explained all that to me today when we talked, because the doctors checked, the level of the ketones in the blood because the energy comes from there. And the fat is the source where you get your ketones from. And the body doesn't get to that immediately. It first goes for carbohydrates, which is the easy energy, the easy fuel for energy, and then it goes on to the fat. So the third day we talked about fat and the correct fats that you want to eat, that need to eat. The fourth day, which was yesterday, we talked about friends mostly. Your friends are so critical in what you want to do. And with the friends, we say two things come. The one is fun, to have fun, and it could be friends that you've known for a long time, or it could be newly acquired friends that support you in your quest for where you want to get your body. Your friends, we also said, if it's somebody that's close to you, your wife, your spouse, or a partner, then you don't want to ask their permission for when you go onto a body abundance strategy or program, but you want to ask their support. So you say, I'm going to do this, but I want your support. I've decided, but I want you to support me in the process. So that's what we covered yesterday. Then we also spent quite a bit of time on the body abundance program, body enhancement program, but we call it the body abundance program. For a period of 6 months, we will guide you and assist you and help you to change certain habits in your life, to change your eating patterns and plans, to get the ideal path, so to speak, for you, so that you can get to the ideal body composition and weight for you. We have individual sessions, individual coaching, and then we've got group sessions as well. and we've got group support for you for this 6-month period. It's not for everybody. It's for some people. It's not for everybody. And we suggest that you look at that carefully to see if this is for you. We'll provide a link as well with this recording in a day or so, that you can click on the link and you can subscribe to that program, or find more information on that, so that you can decide whether you want to go for the program or not. So tonight we are concluding our 5 days in the 5 secrets, and I'll do a bit of a recap towards the end, and also talk about the body abundance program as well. But today I want to say to you that there are certain formulas. If you understand the formulas, it will make it much, much easier for you to do very, very well in this program of yours. And if you furthermore understand the question of flow, so formulas of flow go together, because if you get your right formula and you keep it, that you'll get into flow, which will make it easy for you to continue with that. Let me talk briefly about flow. If you watch some water that's pushing over the banks of a river, or if it's a small stream just over the edge of the stream, you'll see that this river, or this flow of water, will go slowly, and will try to find the best way for it to go. And the trickle will go slowly in the beginning, and once it's formed the path, it will run quicker, and it will run well, and it will be like a new stream that is flowing there. And the same with your body. If you are changing to something new, let me take an example of that. Let's say you want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, there are a couple of things that you need to do. You need to change your mind as well about getting up at 4 in the morning. I'm not saying you must get up at 4 in the morning, but I'm saying if that is what you want to do. You need to make some changes. You need to go to bed earlier. You may not want to drink or eat something too late, because it may disturb you during your sleep at night, which means it will be more difficult for you to get up at 4. But once you get up at 4, the first day, the second day, the fourth day, third, fourth day, and going into week number 2, week number 3, you'll find that it becomes such a natural habit for you that you will be able to just stick with that and keep in that flow. The same is with running. When I start running, every time when I start, after about 200 or 300 meters, I'm panting. I can feel like somebody is preventing the air from coming through to my body. And then probably 5 or 6 minutes later, I'll find that, the flow is natural. Everything comes, I settle into a rhythm. Maybe 2 or 3 kilometers later, the rhythm is fantastic. And once I'm in that flow, I can run for a long time and continue at that pace with some little breaks in between, walking breaks, or just stopping to get something to eat or to drink. But once I'm in that flow, that place where everything seems to be going fine, then I'm almost unstoppable. And that's where I want you to get. When you find, in terms of who you are, your circumstances, the people around you, your eating habits, your exercise habits, when you get to this stage where you feel everything is just running smoothly, then you know you can keep at this for quite a while. And that's where we want you to be. Because if you want to do massive changes in terms of body enhancement, whatever that may be for you, then you must be able to keep on doing what you've started to do. Because it doesn't help if you start with something, you do it for a week or 10 days or maybe 3 weeks, and then you stop with that. Long term, you want to be able to stick to this. So this is what we mean by flow. Part of what you need to do to get to flow is to change your thinking. And I just talked about thinking. getting up early in the morning. If your thinking is, I cannot get up early in the morning, then it's going to be tough for you to get up. But if your thinking is, yes, maybe I can get up early in the morning. Maybe I can change certain things so that my body can take it. Maybe I can change from a morning person, evening person, to a morning person. And that's what we want you to get to a situation of flow where you can easily go from the one place to the next place. Talking about flow, I need something for a minute just for my own flow. That's good. Talking about formula, I want to just talk about a few formula that you understand. That the first formula that I want to talk about is the keto formula, the amount of carbs in a given day that you shouldn't go higher than if you want to go into a stage of ketosis as quickly as possible. Now that limit is about 40 grams of carbohydrates for the day, maybe 50, but it depends on your size as well. But let's talk about 40 grams of carbohydrates in a given day. Now, to just give you an idea, I have this product here is essentially an electrolyte. It's for sport support, but it's not structured like your normal sports products would be structured, because you'll get quite a bit of energy, in other words, kilocalories into that. But this one contains, I'm just going to read this to you. This one contains about 52 kilojoules in the serving. Now that is about 13 kilocalories. So that is low. So if you want to use this for sugar energy, you won't get it here. The other interesting thing, though, is if you look at the grams of carbohydrates, it's got 1 in. So that's excessively low if you look at the normal drinks and the normal sports drinks. The normal sports drinks, I would give 20, 15, 20, 30, maybe even higher in some cases of kilocalories in that one drink. Now, if your body is just tuned to carbohydrate energy, yes, you can do this. But if you want to switch over to something like keto and energy from fat, then you need sports drinks, for instance, with exceptionally low carbohydrates in them, if any at all. So that's one formula that you must know: 40 kilocalories per day, and normally 10 kilocalories per meal. It could, 10 grams of protein per meal and 40 grams of protein of carbohydrates for the day. 40 grams of carbohydrates, let me just repeat that to be clear on this. Carbohydrates, 40 grams per day at one single meal, 10, maybe 12 grams of carbohydrates. Protein could be in the same vicinity, could be slightly higher than that, but your fat must be much higher than that. So we talk about 60% or so from your energy coming from fat, which is a high amount. And normally, your typical nutrition guidelines or your typical diets would put your fat at 10 or 15%, and we say it should be the other way around, that your carbohydrates would be very low, but your fats would be the highest, and then followed by protein, and then by carbohydrates. So that's one of the formulas that you should know: 40 grams of carbohydrate per day maximum. I'm just going to write it down here, and I'll come back to that in a minute, just to summarize that. So 40 grams of carbs per day, that is what it is for keto, and 10 per meal. Let's make it 14 per meal, depending on how you're doing, because if you do intermittent fasting, you might just do 2 meals. and then it could be 20 per meal. Okay, so that's the first formula I want you to know about. The second formula that I want you to keep in mind is a formula that is widely believed, but it's wrong. And it's the 7,000 kilocalorie formula. Now, what this formula says is that if you use 7,000 kilocalories of energy per day, or put it the other way around, if you lose 7,000 kilocalories in a given day, then you will lose a kilo for that day. So they say, but you don't want to do it in one day. You want to do it, you stretch it out every week, which means you must lose 1,000 kilocalories per day, or have a deficit of 1,000 per day. And then over a week period, you will have a deficit of 7,000, and then you lose this amount of weight. Now, we find that if you go into ketosis, and you do intermittent fasting, that you'd actually lose 2 or 3 kilos in a space of 3 or 4 days. And I'm talking about somebody that's 80 kilograms or thereabouts. Of course, if you're lower, then you lose less. If your weight is higher, then you might lose more. So the formula doesn't quite seem in order, because normally, and if I look at myself, my normal consumption of kilocalories a day, according to this formula, should be 2,300, which means if I, for 3 days, don't eat anything, according to this formula, then I'll be almost 7,000 kilocalories down in terms of a deficit. So I should lose 1 kilo over the 3-day period. But in fact, you lose that if you don't eat, you lose it in a day, maybe 2 days. You lose a kilo, and you lose even more if you keep stretching this to your 72-hour limit. So the 7,000 rule, if ever you read the 7,000 rule, and if you Google this, you'll find it. You'll easily find that. You must know this. It's not accurate. It depends what is in these calories. So if the calories is loaded with fat and loaded with protein with a little bit of carbs, then you lose weight much faster. So there are other factors in play, and it's just not talking about adding all the energy that you've eaten. So if you eat an apple or if you eat a banana, you'll add all of that up, plus your chicken and whatever you eat for the day, and you get to a calorie figure. That doesn't quite work. The other myth that I just want to address is the myth that if you are eating less than 500 kilocalories in a given day, then your metabolism slows down. Now, I understand that your metabolism will slow down, or could slow down if you eat less. My experience is that if I fast, if I don't eat anything, that in my second day, I get cold. I'm cold. Even, if I look outside and I see it's quite sunny and nice outside, I'm still cold. And I think that's because for me, and it's different again for different people, mostly when you're fasting, there's not excess carbohydrates to burn for the body. So you feel cold, you feel that you need some heat. And you'll often see people when they're doing fasting, they're either dressed up a little bit with a heavier or a thicker jacket, or they'll have a blanket or a heavy towel around them just to keep a bit of the heat in there. So the general rule says that if you eat below 500 a day, then the metabolism will slow down. Now, it's true, if you eat in a certain way, the metabolism could get used to that way of eating, then you want to break that. And that's why we have the cheat day as well. The cheat day is breaking that rhythm that you set for the body, and to just give it a bit of a shock, almost like a reboot for a computer. So it's almost like a reboot for the body. That's why you need to make sure that if you hear these myths, which some people say this is the absolute truth, but if you hear the myths, just be careful, because then some people say you shouldn't go below 500. So by the same token, they'd say you shouldn't fast, because if you fast, then if you go so low, you won't lose any weight, which is not true. And we have the evidence of that, and we've tested it with many people, and we see it, and you'll see it if you test it for yourself. That is not true. So check out the myths. Just keep in mind that a calorie from a piece of bread plus margarine or butter plus peanut butter plus jam is different from the calorie, even if it's the same amount, from the calorie that you get from an egg, or then to just balance it out, 4 or 5 eggs. So you could get the same calorie amount for the 2 dishes. You can work it out well. And then for the one, you get in 30 or 40 grams of fat. And for the other one, you get in almost 0 fat. But a huge amount of carbohydrates. So the calorie count in the end is the same in terms of energy, but it's a different calorie source. So the source from carbohydrates easily would lead to the gain of fat, depending again on, of course, how much you eat on a given day or in a given week. So in terms of formulas, just make sure that you understand this, that the 7,000 kilocalorie rule doesn't work exactly, and neither does the 500 kilocalorie as a minimum per day work exactly. What you do want to keep in mind is the fact that weight loss does not go in a straight line. So you'll find zigzag patterns with weight loss or weight gain. So you'll go up, say a kilo, and you lose a little bit, maybe a third of a kilo. Then this is now when you want to gain weight, and you go up again by a kilo, and you lose again a third of a kilo, and so on. It goes on and on and on. The same thing would happen or could happen with weight loss. You could lose, let me give you an example. You could lose 4 kilos, and you could gain 2 kilos again, and lose 4 kilos and gain 2 kilos. Now, what you want to do is then eventually get down to a place where you level out and where your weight is stable and your body fat is stable and your muscles is stable as well. So keep in mind that for weight loss or weight gain, there will be fluctuations. It's not going straight down like this all the time. It goes down, goes up, goes down, goes up, and that is the way it works. So let me just show you quickly the notes that I've made, that you can keep this in your mind. I've talked about the 40-gram rule. This is for keto. So if you want to go into keto, this is a maximum per day, 10 or 14 per meal. If you just eat 2 meals a day with intermittent fasting, this could go up to 20 as a maximum. We talked about the myth of the 7,000 kilocalories in a week. That will be equal to 1 kilo. And the second myth, that if you eat less than 500 per day, you won't lose weight. Those are myths. The other thing that we talked about is, just remember, weight loss or weight gain is not a straight line. It goes up and goes down. So you shouldn't be too worried if it goes down, it comes up a little bit, goes down. Of course, you need to check the trend. So the trend over time must be down. So if the trend does, if you want to go down and the trend isn't down, then you've got a problem. So then you've got to address it. So that's the trend. The trend is going down, but it's a zigzag in the way that it gets down. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about in terms of the important things today of formula and flow. There are certain other detailed formulas which I don't want to go into now. You can Google with things like Fat Secrets and with Yazio. Yazio you spell Y-A-Z-I-O. Yazio, you could download that on your phone, and if you eat something, you can actually input that on the phone and it will tell you exactly for that size, this is the amount of fat, this is the amount of protein, this is the amount of carbohydrates that's in that. So you can target, especially with that Yazio app, you can target what you want to eat in a given day. You can do intermittent fasting with that. The app will remind you of when it's time to eat and when it's time to fast, which makes it very, very useful to use. So that is formula and flows, or formula and flow. I have talked in the beginning of what we've covered this week. Just again, as a brief outline and summary, the best way for you to lose weight and to maintain your ideal weight and to get your to your best body position ever is to find the right path for you. Find the right path, stay on that path, stick with it. Ideally, you should fast. We'll teach you how to fast. We'll see if the fasting is a path that you can go and can stay on. Doesn't matter, doesn't help if you fast once and you can't stick on that. We want to find something that you can stick to over time. So we'll find your right path that will give you the best results. It'll give you tons of energy as well and make you feel great in the end. Ideally, you want not only permission, not only support from a spouse or loved one, and not permission. You don't want permission, but ideally you want them to give you such huge support that they'll win together with you. That support you can also get from new friends that you make that will be going through the same exercise and program that you will be going through, or who have gone through that already in the past. So friends, fantastic. Feasting, great thing to do, to be able to cheat, to say, I'm not going to eat this now, but Saturday, when it's my cheat day, I'm going to eat that ice cream, or I'm going to eat that cupcake, or that huge slice of cake. But that's on my feast day, my cheat day. We talked about fat, the importance of fat, and especially if you look at keto, that should be high. And the way to get energy from fats is to get your body to be fat adapted. It could work fantastic for runners as well. We talked about importance of not only friends, but to have fun. And then we concluded with formulas and flow, which we've just covered tonight. And of course, you must work on your fitness as well. So if you can't walk far, then the first target would be to start walking and to increase that over time. If it's possible for you to run, if you don't have physical limitations, then to start running a little bit and running a little bit more, and then running much more. Running, if your body can take that, is a fantastic way for stress relief and for managing your weight, assisting to manage your weight, because you cannot fix the damage of incorrect eating by exercising. But you could easily, once you've started to get the body give the body a new body and a lighter body and a stronger frame, then you can easily add the exercise to that. So just to come back to what we covered last night in terms of our 6-month program, and I want to share that with you so that you know what that's all about and how that can work for you. I'm just going to share my screen with you that you can see that, and you'll just need to give me a minute to do that, to get to that right in that particular area. Let me just get to the whiteboard quickly, and I'll do it from there, and I'll add that other screen in a minute. But on the whiteboard, we said, on the whiteboard, I'll show you now, but we said that we have this program which will give you assistance over a period of 6 months, which if we add all of the value of the total value of this, it will be a value of 29,500 Rand. But because we want to get new testimonials in, and we want to see people succeeding with this as soon as possible, we have made it, and we make it available at the special amount of 4,900 Rand. Now, if you add all of the benefits, it will far exceed this, and it will be close to this amount. So this figure here, you'll not see repeated often as the amount that you can get involved into this. It's not for everybody. I said the previous day, I said that if you think that this is for everybody, just know it isn't for everybody. If you are a do-it-yourselfer, so you want to do it yourself and you want to figure things out yourself, then this program is not for you. If you are a do-it-yourselfer with a plus, what I mean by do-it-yourselfer with a plus, it's you do it in your own way, in your own things, in your own time, but you want access to a little bit of a support group that will assist you. We've got something else for that. Then this program is not for you either. But if you want to have quick results, then this is the way that you'll go. So let me just open my other screen for you, so that I can show you where that particular what we call the body enhancement program is. Let me just open that for you. All right, it wants to open bodybuilding for you, but that's not what we're looking for. We want to look at body abundance for you. And it takes a bit of time to get to that. So you won't be able to see this overnight. And the body enhancement program that we take 6 months to cover will lead you to the place where you are sure that you can do very, very well. And that's what we said earlier, if you're a person who can do it yourself and that would like to do things on their own, then go for that. Then this program is not for you. The body abundance program is not for you if you are a do-it-yourselfer. And we just want to emphasize that point again. It's a 6-month program. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, it's not for you. But if you want assistance so that someone will do it with you, you have individual attention and small group support, then this is for you. We have initial one-on-one consultations, and then weekly for 5 consecutive weeks to show you certain things and to do certain what we call audits, where you are able to do very, very well. So I just want to make sure that this is showing on Zoom. Aha, okay, there we go back. So in terms of your body enhancement program, there's some short, a short 40-minute initial discussion, which then is worked out further so that you can do what the program says it can do, that you're sure that this is the route that you want to go. There's individual support, and at the end we've got a celebration, and we talk about the road ahead. What are you going to do? Because the vital thing is, once you have come to the position or close to the position of where you want to be, is to how to make sure that you stay there. Because many people would have experienced that they lose some weight and then they just pick it up again. And that's not what you want to do. You want to get to that position where you don't ever get to a situation where you feel you can't control your weight. So 4,900 Rand, we'll give you a link. If you're interested, let us know. I'll give you an email below this video, and that you can talk to us, and also the link we'll give to you. The bonus will go away soon. Once you've seen this, this 4,900 Rand amount will change, and we are adding some bonuses to this to make it easier for you to stick to the plan, to stick to the program. If you're unsure of whether you want to do this, talk to us, and to see if this will work for you. We'll either sit together with you personally if you're close enough, or we'll do a Zoom or a WhatsApp call to be able to see what is the best way for you. It's been fantastic to have you with us for the 5 days. I'm sure you've learned some of the secrets already. Now it is a question of doing what you've learned, of applying what you've learned. You can start immediately if you haven't done it yet by doing a fast, by starting tonight, and not eating anything tomorrow till 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and then to eat, and then to have your last meal by 8 o'clock the night. It's Hansilo from Cape Town. My prayer is, and my wish is, that you will burst through a 24-hour fast so that you can experience what it is to fast, because on the other side of that fast, there's nothing that your body cannot achieve.